thing I want to talk about real quick before we got to head out of here is the cornerback. We talked about the slot, the whole thing, plenty of times on this podcast. Recently, as recent as yesterday, actually, Omar Khan goes on 93.7 The Fan, talks about the release of Arthur Millette, which has reportedly been his own doing. The craziest part, remember when we talked about this months ago and I was like, oh, Arthur Millette's not going to be on the team. That's because he told me on locker cleanout day that he wasn't playing for the Steelers next year. And I was like, and then he was just like on the roster still. And I was like, oh, well, I must have misinterpreted something. Like something was wrong here. And then this happened. I was like, I thought that's what I thought happened there. So Arthur Millette's gone. Omar Khan names Chandon Sullivan, newly signed Chandon Sullivan, former Minnesota Viking, and Duke Dawson, former second-round pick in 2018, who spent last season on the practice squad, never really panned out in the NFL so far, as the potential replacements at the slot. They feel pretty good about both of them. I mean, I don't know, you tell me your thoughts when he named those names as the potential replacement.
Yeah, I don't know if it was just Khan not trying to like show his cards, or maybe it's just hopium, I guess. I can tell you right now, I don't feel great about those two options. So that's my take on it. Chandon Sullivan, I think he's a guy that, the Steelers should be trying to upgrade at slot corner, man. Maybe it's a veteran move, a trade, a release, come training camp. But this is not going to work, with what they got on the roster right now. I think it's their biggest hole on defense. I think it's a serious void that other teams are going to be looking to exploit. It's not good news. It's bad news Bears.
Yeah, bad news Bears is spot on. You remember the Antoine Brooks year? Like, that's what it reminds me of right now. It's just like anybody that we could find that like is remotely athletic, we're just going to toss them in there. Sullivan, everybody's making a big deal out of Sullivan. I was telling you before the show, I just got into PFF grades a little bit, and like, their analysis here and there. And Arthur Millette's coverage grade last year was a 55, which is not good. Chandon Sullivan's coverage grade last year was a 53. So if you're off on Arthur Millette, maybe you should be a little skeptical about Chandon Sullivan. I'm not high on Sullivan. I think,
I think the Steelers probably option in the slot is probably not on the roster.
Okay. I was going to say Patrick Peterson. Do you think it's Patrick Peterson maybe?
It could be Peterson, but I think it's not on the roster. That's how I'm going to operate until it doesn't happen that way, and then I'm going to try to cope elsewhere.
I like that. I think that it's, I think they're going to try a couple of things. Corey Trice is a name that gets tossed out there, big physical guy in the slot. Possibly Trey Norwood, toss his name out there. I don't think that's a realistic option for them. But Chandon Sullivan, Duke Dawson's about as bad as it gets when it comes to, and I mean, like, that's a downgrade at that point. Just, you should have just kept Arthur Millette, paid him a little bit more money. You got money to toss around out there. I will say this, and I know we only got a minute or two here. I think that if it does end up the way that it works out right now, my thought is that if the Steelers aren't able to grab anybody, they give the job to whoever to start, and then Patrick Peterson bounces inside. And I think that locks up Joey Porter, Levi Wallace, Ahkello Witherspoon as the big three on the outside, and I feel damn good about that.
Yeah, I mean, they got a lot of depth on the outside. It's just going to be a matter of like how they're going to circumvent, the slot, and how they're going to mix and match depending on, personnel, who they're playing, matchups, stuff like that. I'm just going to continue to hammer home. They need to be active and trying to pursue an upgrade in the slot, or the other teams are going to do what the Bengals did to them last year. So
yeah. So you can't walk into there, Chandon Sullivan, Duke Dawson. Just that's the gaping hole has somehow gotten more gaping, and that's just more concerning for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But like you said, a rookie minicamp starts today, OTA starts 2 weeks from now, and then we're back to football. So moves will be made, guys will get cut, people will become available. There's a lot of talking points that are going to come in the next couple of weeks.